you could change your story at any time.
Mm.
All right, you still selling a story from 10 years ago. You stuck from 10 years ago, bro. That's that same combo you telling is you from 10. Is that who you want to be? A lot of us are afraid of change. You say, I'm not changing for nobody. To me, that sounds like you're afraid to grow. Change and growth are the same thing.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Yo, I'm here with JT. JT, brother, you're a public speaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that right?
Personal trainer.
I would say, would you classify yourself as a motivational speaker?
I don't know if it's necessarily motivation. I'm just talking. I think I just love to speak. And if I have a message that day, as a trainer or a coach, you gotta motivate the people that you're talking to get them to go through and get healthy. So I guess coach would probably be the best way. But
okay. Listen, man, we got JT in here, man. JT is a dope individual, dope brother, doing a lot of great stuff in a space of healing, educating. So yeah, I wanted to definitely have a conversation with you because we were talking about your uncle beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So can you take me through what you're feeling right now, like what your process has been, just the context of the whole situation so the audience knows?
All right, to give quick context, it's only been a few days. So I think it's just day 4. My uncle literally passed away about 4 days ago now. And I'm not even a stranger to death, so it's like it's crazy, but it's like super unexpected. Like this was like, the night before we were all just celebrating and enjoying each other. We actually celebrated a bunch of birthdays. Myself, my aunt, my cousin, and a family friend. We all went out to dinner together. Just how crazy life is, though. The first place we were supposed to go to, they actually wouldn't let us in. The party was too big. It's a huge spot. And then, so for many reasons, obviously large parties, Black people, it's a white establishment. But what it turned into, we went to a smaller place. When we get there, there's another venue, there's another party, right? And they have a whole bunch of Black people, right? But they're all friends of ours, friends of our family, and everybody knew. So they're probably sitting like 4 tables away, and they're also there celebrating birthdays, right? But these are like people over the years that I know, they're faith-based, church family, and they start singing happy birthday to each other. So they come over and ask me, like, what are y'all celebrating, blah, blah, blah. They talking to my family, and my uncle's there with us. And they call us over, and they start singing happy birthday to everybody. And it's just all this positive energy and love in the room, right? Not even thinking, none of us are thinking, because my uncle he wasn't sick, but he had some health issues. And wouldn't have thought that'd be the last time all of us together. But the dope part was that we celebrated in love.
Right.
Everybody was there. It was just like this crazy thing. Just all of this good energy, right? And that was the last night we got a chance to spend together. But it just so happened to turn out we wouldn't have had that same type of energy. We wouldn't have had that same type of love had that family not been there and those friends been there as well. Because it was like 25 of us, but it was also 25 of them.
Yeah.
And they started off with their energy and they just joined in. So I'm big on like positive energy. And the reason why I'm processing it so well is because even though we're all like grieving right now, just to realize that we all just had that good energy to share with one another literally the night before.
Yeah.
And, just went out with like, and all of these positive memories. So I tend to like shift everything to like, what was the learning lesson for me? And what was the positive? What did we learn? What was the value of these particular situations? So processing it for me is still challenging. Just thinking about all the good times that we've shared as a family. Obviously, my aunt has to deal with not having her other half, and then my cousins and just family not having that good energy around. But man, he casts such a huge shadow. So it's challenging, but at the same time, we all know that life moves forward, and
Right.
we have all these memories and lessons. At least for me, I definitely take all the lessons I learned from those situations and make sure that for me, I always have a lasting impression on people and lead with love no matter what. This dude was like a force of just good energy all the time.
Right.
So just remembering that is something that I'm taking forward for the duration of the time I'm on the planet, and make sure that I always leave a positive impression on others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of why I created the platform I have now. So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Let's talk about it, bro.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were talking about before the episode was how, like what happened with your brother sparked the creation of like your platform. So
Yeah.
can you take the audience through that, give context to how that played into who you are today and what you do?
So my brother passed away while I was in college. So I was actually home visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And just to give some backstory, my brother and I lived in different homes. Pops has a bunch of kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
But he came into my life pretty much a couple years before I went away to college, and we built a bond. I was actually running a teen center at the time. I'm like young ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
16, 17. I'm working already, working with other kids. So I would pick him up from his house. Also had other siblings at that home, but take him with me to the teen center, and we created a bond. It just so happened to be my junior, senior year of high school, and we built this positive bond. He's much younger than me, but we built a positive relationship. And then when I left to go to school, there's no longer that interaction. Now his situation was so different than mine in my household that spending that time with me, it was super meaningful for him, but it was definitely beneficial for me to have another one of my siblings around, because I grew up with my mom as an only child, but I have, about 15 other siblings as well.
Right.
So just having that positive bond with him was important. But fast forward, I'm in college, and I'm actually hooping.
Mm-hmm.
I came home to visit, and then got a call that he had committed suicide. A very quiet kid, isolated.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like, that crushed me, because I had never experienced anything like that. You grow up in the environments that I grew up in. It's kind of normal to hear, like, if it's a violent crime or something happens, a shooting, stabbing, something like that, and someone either gets arrested or they get killed. That becomes normal. Sad to say, but that's like, we kind of numb to those particular situations. It still hurts, but to hear suicide was so different. I didn't really understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we fully have an understanding of death, but at that age, I don't understand suicide.
Right.
I don't even know, like, why would somebody do that? Like, we normally avoiding death. We quote unquote cheating death.
Mm-hmm.
To have a kid do that, and he was only 15, it was just hard to kind of process.
Right.
And that took a lot. And it definitely took a lot out of me. So I don't think I handled it well, because I didn't have an understanding, but I'm also somebody that kind of keeps to myself in a way. So I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Right.
Fast forward, I had to, like, therapy, and
Yeah.
like I had to, like, seek that out, because I didn't have my family. Nobody does therapy. My surrounding, nobody, it's keep your business to yourself. And thankfully, the girlfriend I had at the time, she just kind of recommended, like, oh man, you should probably talk to somebody, because I don't really know how to process this. And thankfully, it took a whole year for me to actually go.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did go, it was pretty much me just talking. I didn't know anything about it other than what we see on television.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about therapy.
Right.
But I think it changed my life for the better.
Really?
Man, so many things I learned about myself, and emotional intelligence, and effective communication, and processing my own emotions. I didn't know how to do that before. I would get angry. I would be like, or shut down. That was easy. Shutting down is like the easy thing to do. But when I was forced to talk through some things and process my own thoughts, it helped me so much, because now it made me think more about, dang, this is why I'm feeling this way. Instead of just lashing out in anger,
Right.
or shutting down, I learned to better process my emotions and my feelings, and talk them through. And that's definitely not something I grew up seeing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We just shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I ain't talking about that. We knew it happened, but nobody talked about what happened.
I'm not opening up about that, bro. We good. We gonna move forward. It never happened. I'm not tripping, even though you tripping.
You tripping, bro.
Like, but you don't want to acknowledge that you're actually going through something. And so you'll shut down. Like you said, that's really easy. It's easy to shut down.
It's the easiest thing to do.
It's easy to shut down because you don't have to do any work after that. Shutting down just means like, all right, I nipped it, quote unquote, nipped it in the bud, but you really didn't.
No.
All you're doing is delaying the inevitable, which is, you having an emotional explosion, you having a lashing out on people, not being able to regulate your emotions when you're going through them. So I'm glad you talked about that because I was gonna get into that with you, like the therapy, because you've been through, now with your uncle, two that I know of, close deaths, right?
Yeah.
At one point in time, you mentioned you were going to therapy, 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Because there's a lot of people that are like, you got to go to therapy 3 times a week. Son, you know what I'm saying? They probably think it's something wrong with you or something like that. But I want you to explain why you felt like that was important for you at that time.
I started to have, so again, I don't know how, to this day, I don't necessarily, there's no right or wrong way to process death.
Right.
We all try to figure out ways that work for us. The reason why it turned into so many, and I didn't even have any, I couldn't tell my mom, like it was because we don't do therapy, you know? So it took me about a year to process his death. And what was happening was I was falling apart at random moments because I would think about it. And it wasn't just his death. I had experienced so many deaths up until that point. Now, mind you, at this point, I'm like 19, 20 years old. I get to 21, I'm still falling apart. Like, you know what I mean? There's no, and it's random moments of tears. Bro, I'm playing in a league. I go in the locker room. I'll never forget this. Probably like a few months after my brother passed, and I knew something wasn't right. I go in the locker room to change just to get ready for this league. I'm the only one in the locker room. And I took this jersey. I took the jersey they handed me, put the jersey on just to get ready to go run out. My brother got buried in one of my jerseys. So that moment, it just hit me. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't even cry at his funeral, but I fell apart putting a jersey on, like just a simple thing. And it was an association of that jersey, and I saw my brother's face. I'm not good with like walking up to caskets and all of that stuff, but I had to face that. And so many of those things happened. Now I'm bawling out on the floor, crying, just sitting there thinking about my brother, just like tears. And one of my friends came in, and he just see me down there crying, and he just like trying to console me. But up until that point, I hadn't even had that moment.
Right.
So, but and then what was happening was, up until therapy, I wasn't even processing. Like, 15 minutes later, I get up and I go on whatever I was doing. And I buried it. And then other moments that happen, I get into an argument with somebody. I'm lashing out crazy. I'm trying to fight. Or I'm walking off. I'm getting in my car and I start crying. It became too much. Like I'm falling apart. I get it. I'm at work, randomly getting ready to walk in, fall out crying. And not understanding where that was coming from, I knew there was a bunch of things, and it was like not processing my emotions. So that's when I finally started going. It was like I'm talking about it constantly, and one of the activities was just to write out how I'm feeling. And I didn't even understand that. I'm like, well, in this moment, he's like, yeah, start with this moment. Just write it out. How you feel right now? And I'm like, well, I feel nervous. She's like, don't talk. Just write out how you feeling. That was hard because I'd never done that before. So I learned in those moments, like sometimes you face with things you don't understand and you haven't gone through. So you kind of resistant. You grow up in certain situations. You like somebody tell you to do something. You instantly like, nah, I'm not doing that. But then I realized how freeing it was to release and let out. So that it doesn't come out randomly. You start. So that's some of those prompts were good for me. And then realizing that if I talked about what was going on with me, it was a form of healing. It was a form of like a release. I'll go in there pent up, not realizing I'm pent up until I'm talking. And then I'll start crying or just being able to go. Because all of this was pent up. And I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
Where you just pent up you don't talk to anybody about it because you don't feel comfortable, like somebody gonna judge you for saying that you sad because you're a black man, which is crazy to think because we lash out in such a negative way, but it's also seen as that's just what we do.
Right.
We like falling into some crazy stereotype when, all of us have been hurt, but we always process it, not even always. We sometimes, the way it's seen is we got to suck the tear back in.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But it causes something, and we don't even realize what that causes until later.
Man, you touching on some good stuff right now, bro. You touching on some good stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that reminded me of, you ever seen that cartoon, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, when the security guard is crying?
And why it had to be the black security guard.
But you see, but this is what I'm saying, though. That's, when I see that clip, I'm like, yo, this is a lot of black men right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like, you have something that's going on, and you may want to cry about it, or it's something that you can definitely cry about. Like, anybody that's not a black man, them crying wouldn't be seen as anything wrong, right? But for a black man, it's like, nah, I can't. You know what I'm saying? I know so many black men that have told me, like, I've never cried before. I'm like, what?
As if that's a good thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's not cool, bro. Like, you're emotionally constipated. You, like, for real, you are backed up, bro. You got a lot of stuff that you gotta get out.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with it. And crying, and I always say this when we talk about crying, because it's important for men to understand the science behind it, because we're so logic-based, right? Crying releases toxins from your body. When you're dealing with a heavy emotion, that's your body's way of rebalancing itself. It's through crying, through your tears. That's why you can cry when you're mad.
Yep.
You can cry when you're sad. You can cry when you're happy. Right? Because you have an elevated emotion. Your body senses that. It's like, okay, cool. We got to get this out so you can get back to equilibrium, so you can live your life. The way we're going to get this out is through your tears. If you suck that tear back up, or you decide like, nah, I ain't crying because I ain't doing that,
it's going to make me look weak.
You know, it's going to make me look weak. You're going to delay the process of your body getting rid of the toxins that it needs to get rid of. Like, that's your body's natural way of helping you. Don't sabotage yourself by not letting that go. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected black community, starting with black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
Man, bro. You've been talking about therapy. I always got to plug it in.
Yeah.
We've been doing this therapy webinar where we teach black men, black women, whoever pulls up, how to find a black therapist, right? So if anybody's listening right now to the podcast and you're like, you know what, I want to take that step, I'm not really sure how, pull up to the webinar. We will teach you step by step how you find a black therapist that can help you with what you're going through, how to try and shorten that time in order for you to be in session. And then also at the end of the webinar, we can connect you with a therapist inside of Safe Haven. So if you're interested in that, pull up. The link is in our bio on Instagram. That's Express Yourself Black Man. If you're not on Instagram or social media, go to expressyourselfblackman.com/links, and then you'll see the therapy webinar. You can register for the next time that we teach it, and then just, take advantage of the information and reach out if you have any questions. So, man, to continue the conversation, bro.
Yeah.
You've been talking about therapy and how much it helped you. What's something that you would say, like, what was one of the biggest realizations that you had in therapy?
That I am not weak because I have emotions. So oftentimes, if we cry or we express ourselves, is seen as like a huge weakness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I learned, and a lot of the successes I've had over the past 10 years have been because I was able to learn how to regulate my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
learn how to communicate my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes a lot of us are pent up. We don't communicate well in the workplaces. We don't communicate well in relationships. And if we feel something, if we felt something in any relationship that we've been in, we hold it in, or we got to find some tough way to express it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I going through therapy helped me to realize, like, man, it's okay to express yourself, and elevated voice patterns aren't going to help. You don't have to yell. You can be calm and still showcase strength, because that's a lot of times as men we want to appear tough,
Right.
in a sense. And that's it's for so many reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I learned in therapy, I don't have to put on that mask of tough to feel masculine. I was like, no, I can express myself.
Right.
Also, I learned that if I was going to be in the spaces I wanted to be in, I've been working in education for over 15 years, right? So working with kids at any capacity. I'm also a trainer, so I created kids programs to work with them, working as an educator. I was like, yo, I need to set a positive example, because I'm working with these young Black men and young Black women, and I need to be able to show, I always call it mirrored behavior. Like, I want them to mirror some of the things that I'm exhibiting. So if somebody hurt my feelings, I'm teaching these young men how to communicate instead of lashing out and using their hands. I'm talking to the young women of like, yo, if somebody hurt your feelings, you don't have to go off the handle and start fighting or screaming and yelling. If I hadn't gone through these processes in therapy, I wouldn't have known to be able to teach that as well.
Right.
So I in the school, we taught social emotional learning and restorative practices. So we had practicing restorative justice. So I'm like, yo, if something's broken in that practice, restorative justice, if something's broken, we fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding out ways, how do we fix it? And that ties to everything. Like, if you and I have a disagreement and something is broken,
mm-hmm.
how do we fix it, brother? Like, this doesn't fix anything.
Right.
How can we verbally come to an agreement without going when things go left, right?
Right.
And had I not gone through the process, because of the environments I grew up in, right? Nobody's teaching you how not to. They just tell you not to.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the steps? I wouldn't have learned those steps. I wouldn't have been able to teach those steps. I wouldn't have been able to become the man that I'm still becoming had I not gone through some of the things I learned in therapy.
Right. Man, something you said that really got me thinking about something that I've posted in the past about, I feel like if every Black man had just basic conflict resolution skills, just basic, I'm not even talking about advanced. I'm talking about if every Black man had basic conflict resolution skills, I really feel like crime and crime would be down, one, and I feel like our community would be way better.
Absolutely.
Like, just starting with just basic conflict resolution. You and I have a conflict,
Yeah.
right? We beefing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What do we do from there? What's the process? Like, instead of, oh, I'm beefing with them, nah, F it, when I see him, it's on site. You feel me? Like, instead of that, it's like, all right, cool. Let me hit son up and let's have a conversation, because most disagreements, most beef, like, there's a lot of misunderstanding in there.
1000%.
You feel me? Like, you're thinking one thing, they're thinking another thing, and y'all are beefing because y'all are not having a conversation. Y'all haven't even talked about it. And there's assumptions and all these different kind of things. And I feel like if we just had basic conflict resolution skills, just the skill to be able to acknowledge, like, yo, what assumptions am I making? Just that in itself, like, being able to do the introspection to say, you know what, I may not be all the way right about this situation.
Yes, sir.
I may be tweaking. Just to be able to do that,
it's huge.
I think that would change a lot in our community. But I feel like a lot of times, like, it's the lack of conflict resolution and the inflated ego, or the what do they call it? The fragile ego, right? That leads to elevated conflict, or conflict like escalating, because now it's, oh, we beefing, but he think he better than me.
Yeah.
Now I really, it's on site, but when it's on site, I really gotta beat him up, because I want him to know, like, I'm him.
Bro, to add to that, not even he think he better than me. I don't want it to look like these people think he's better than me. So the outside looking in, you think of social media, you think of what someone else is thinking versus that person. You and I have a conflict. My brain, if I don't go through these processes of like therapy and working, right? I'm worried about what everybody else think.
Right.
Not even what the issue's not even with you now. Now I'm angry because 30 people saw the thing you wrote on social media, or 30 people saw you disrespect me with your words. Now I have to go to the next level, which is crazy. But if we learn, all right, I'm not worried about what these people. For me personally, I'm not thinking about what someone else thinks. Right. I'm thinking about how am I going to feel if it results to me reacting in this poorly. Because I'm like, yo, that shows no growth. And that obviously that took time.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm not growing if I react in this way.
Right.
But that also takes some work. Like, how do we get to that point? That's part of it. Like, each of us thinking about what other people think is part of the bigger problem. We more focus on others than ourselves. Now, how do you get more internal and think about how do you feel in this moment? I told you from the jump, it was like, how did I feel? I'm writing out just that simple thing. How do I want to feel? I want to feel great all day.
Right.
I know that those feelings are, those are moments in time, but for the day, for the most part, I want 90% of my day to feel good.
Right.
So I'm not going to react to this little thing. Somebody says something, this person ain't say hi when I said something to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, my goal, give you good energy.
Yeah.
If I can do that, I feel good for the day. Even if you didn't receive it the way I might have pictured you receiving it, if I gave it, I feel better.
Right.
So that's what we got to get to as well. It's like, stop thinking about what other people thinking. Like, focus on how do you want to feel today?
A lot of Black men look for external validation because they don't know where to find their own internal validation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have to be validated by these people because I don't feel good enough myself.
Facts.
You feel me? So that's what leads to that, because it's like, these people are who make me me.
Yes.
And if I don't have their approval, then I'm not me anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? So now it's like, I gotta take it up a notch, because if I don't take it up a notch, then I'm not me.
Yeah.
I'm not accepted for who I am. But you gotta realize, like you said, you gotta go inwards. Like, as long as you accept you, no matter what they think.
And then who do you want to be? Like, is that who you want to be?
Facts.
I had one of my staff, I said, he did a lot of time in prison. And I had a conversation. He's older than me. And I said to him, what are you leading with though? Like, the stories that you're telling, is that still who you are? Because you're telling these stories about an individual that was getting themselves, and I did this back in the day and I did it. I'm like, all right, but what are you leading? Is that what you, think about where you're trying to go. And then this same conversation that you're having over and over. And you think about the dialogue that we have on a day-to-day basis. Man, I used to be this. I got this, I got that. I'm like, but at the end of the day, is this who you want to be? What attitude, what stories are you leading with? I always say change. You could change your story at any time. All right, you still telling a story from 10 years ago. You stuck from 10 years ago, bro. That's that same combo you telling is you from 10. Is that who you want to be? A lot of us are afraid of change. You say, I'm not changing for nobody. To me, that sounds like you're afraid to grow. Change and growth are the same thing. I'm always talking about growth. Like, if you want to be the same you from a year ago, that's a problem.
That's a fact.
Bro, you got to be pouring into yourself constantly. If your plant ain't growing, something ain't right. That means it's going to stop. You want it to constantly grow.
Right.
So it all goes to the conversation we tell ourselves, man. Who are you? Who you want to be? And then you got to change the narrative of the conversation you have with yourself first. You can try to fool everybody else.
Yeah,
you still got to. You got to go to bed as you.
Yeah,
the real you.
That's when it gets real, bro.
Yeah.
You can go outside. You can put that mask on all you want.
But you got to go home, bro. You got to face yourself.
At some point in time, you have to go home, bro, and you have to deal with what it is that you're trying to subdue. You feel me? Like, I think a lot of times we talked about men like talking about their past and like being like kind of infatuated with it. Like, this is what I was doing when I was I think a lot of times that's because like a lot of men are like stuck in that age or that era because they don't know who they are now.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I have to attach my identity to something. I was lit 10 years ago.
You peaked in high school.
Yes, bro. I was lit 10 years ago, so I'm gonna just stay there.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And I'm gonna tell all these stories about where I was at, what I was doing, because I'm not comfortable where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I don't really know where I'm going. You feel me? So it's like, all right, cool. At least if I stayed 10 years, if I stayed in 10 years ago, then, you know, at least I know that was lit.
Yeah, but that was it.
It's like, yo, bro, it's like you're playing like I seen this movie, it's called I think it's called Ready Player One, where they're like, it's like almost like a virtual reality where they're always playing a game. Always playing that virtual reality game. That's how I think about it. It's like, if you're always talking about your past, you're not really living. You're not really living real life. You're in a throwback. You feel me? Like, you're not living real life, bro. We're not living where we are right now. And I think it's important to identify that. Like, why do I consistently have to talk about where I was at?
Yeah, because you're not there no more.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I travel a lot. I was in Bali literally a couple months ago. And one of the tattoos I put on my body, it's right up here. It says, "Your time is now." It's a reminder. You look in that mirror now, because depression is when you're thinking about the past. Anxiety is when you focus too much on the future. And happiness is in the now. All of us are like, and we all do it, where we're always focused on next. Like right now, we're recording this. I'm gonna be thinking about, when is it gonna drop? When this comes out, when this comes out, when the next thing comes out. So we're always so focused on next. But now I'm trying to learn to be in the now, in the present. Like, how do I be my best self now?
Right.
Instead of always. And then some of us, if you have anxiety towards this present moment, because you can't focus on what you're gonna be doing, who you are. So you go right back to that you when you was lit.
Yeah.
You're like, dang, yo. I had conversations with dudes 20 years later talking about them. Yo, we beat you in high school in the basketball game, and you wasn't this. You was nervous and played y'all and did it. I'm like, I was. When I don't argue anymore, the conversation changes, because we start talking about right now. And if the conversation shifts to like, yo, all right, that's cool, man. Put on about 60 pounds though since then. Like, right now you gotta get healthy. Right now you're not trying to grow. Right now you still talking about this same conversation. How do we grow and move forward so we can all be having an elevated conversation? I try to walk away from conversations that are talking about then, because it distracts me from now. So I was like, all right, we had a couple minutes. That's why a lot of the friends leave, because I'm so focused on like living this amazing life now in the present and having elevated conversations and things that make us grow. A lot of us are talking about things that don't help us at all. You're like, oh, all right. You see me walk away. I say the Irish goodbye. People leave and don't say nothing. Bro, how many times you done left the party? Like, I don't go to parties, but if I show up at your event and it ain't much, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna do my, and then you're gonna be like, yo, where'd JT go?
Gone.
He gone. This was not the energy I'm on, bro. That is me. Not vibrating high, bro. You do it too?
That's me, bro. I'm out, bro. I'm out. I'm introverted,
That's me.
By default. So if I pull up to an event, I'm just looking for the exit as soon as I get in.
Yeah.
As soon as I get in, I'm like, all right, when am I leaving? Feel me? I'm not even. Like, all right, cool. I see a few people. I'm gonna let them know I'm here, show my support.
Yeah.
Cool. Set a timer for 30 minutes.
Yeah, because that's not where you are right now.
Yeah, like,
you got such a higher standard. And when that changes, it's good for you, but sometimes it seems like a negative for the people that were around you or used to be around you. For me, I try to surround myself with people that are always in that space of like now. And yeah, they talk and think about the future, but it's so much different. Like, I don't even listen to music anymore, because it's like, if I can't find something that's gonna elevate my mind, I'm just not even gonna listen to it. I'm listening to you on the way up here. I got your clips loaded. I'm just listening.
Oh, word.
Yeah, I gotta hear things that are positive and things that uplift my mind. If the people are taking me down, or they still having the same conversation. Bro, they told me, I'm having conversations with people told me how I was at 13, 14, 15. These are family members sometimes, and I'll walk away from the convo. I'm like, yo, that's not who I am, though.
Right.
That person doesn't even exist anymore.
Right.
So I don't even want to have that conversation anymore.
Yeah.
So anything that's draining to my energy or seemingly low vibrations, I'll just like, we're going to have a different convo or I'm not going to be in that space.
Yeah,
And
I feel you.
that's tough. It's tough to walk. Sometimes it's tough because the people that you've been around, that's comfort.
Yeah.
I want to be uncomfortable going into these new spaces.
That's a fact, bro. That's a word, bro.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about your therapy journey
Yeah.
is I think sometimes people can think it's like rainbows and butterflies, and that's not it. You know, we talked about a lot of the good stuff, but I want to kind of get into like what were some of the things that you kind of was like, damn, this shit is difficult as fuck right now. Like,
yo,
going through that, yeah.
Having real life conversations about the lack of relationship I've had with my family. That's always challenging for me because the realization for me, at least processing that I wasn't a priority to my family in that way. Like that I wasn't seemingly loved as if, like abandonment, that's super challenging. Like my pops left, and that was it. Like I was, my parents were young. So like those moments of realizing that the people that you thought should have been there weren't there, and then realizing that your thoughts you may have had, sometimes it's validated, and you're going through those steps, and you're like, oh man, this was real. And the reason why I've acted like this in these relationships that I've had is because the trauma that I haven't learned how to process or deal with. So, this girlfriend didn't last, this one didn't last, and it was my fault. So realizing that those things were your fault, because the stories we say are what we make true, right? But when you got to face yourself again in that mirror, or you creating that content on that phone, you got to realize that the stories that you've been telling were wrong. Sometimes you go through when you're going through therapy, like, no, that wasn't a real story. It was your fault, bro. And it's me talking to me, bro. That was your fault. You caused that. You weren't honest. And yes, it may be trauma. It may have been your trauma that may have happened. Still no excuse. It's still your fault. And those are conversations I had with myself. And those are often tough. Yeah. Because then you got to backtrack. Sometimes you got to apologize to people you hurt.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
And then the apology ain't it, bro. It's changed behavior. It's the real apology. Because if you repeat it again, the apology was meaningless.
Yeah.
So the truest apology is changed behavior. So sometimes you backtrack. I've done that. If I make a mistake, bro, now it's like an instant. I gotta, damn, because I don't know if I'm gonna see that person tomorrow. They might pass away. I may not be here, right? So I don't want those conflicts. Like I'm like, all right, no, that was my fault. Yeah, we getting to argue. I've gotten into arguments. I've been exes. She like, you just trying to hurry up and apologize. You ain't no remorse. I'm like, nah, you don't understand. I'm apologizing for whatever I said or not paying attention. I'm truly apologizing because I don't know if 5 minutes from now something bad may happen. You know what I mean? I don't want this to carry on. So going through therapy, those are like tough things to realize. Like a lot of things that I've gone through, I don't want to blame anybody else for it. Yeah, it happened, but accountability is still the key. Right. Like when you have to own up to your own demons and the things that you've done, like it's your fault. I can't blame anybody else because now I know why I did the things. And if I repeated the things once I know now, it's my fault. I can't blame my circumstance or my situation or my family or anything. Because again, that story we tell ourselves is the one that we've been rocking with. So you can easily just hide behind your BS because you was telling yourself that story that it's other people's fault. But now that story you was telling, that's 10-year-old story, bro. It's your fault now. Yeah. Because now that you know that it's because of these things and you don't do anything about it, it's no longer their fault. That mistake happened once. You know better now. Who you gonna blame now? When you in that same situation, you didn't change it. You know 5 + 5 is 10. You keep writing 11 on the paper. That's your fault. That's your fault. You take accountability for that. And that was hard for me. Those lessons learned, like, all right, you've gone through this, you know better now. You're educated on some of these things. You may not be perfect, but you're still learning. You're making that mistake. So that was the hardest thing. And now, daily, I say those things to myself. All right, this is the day you're going to have. And I'm making eye contact with myself. Yo, yesterday, you were slacking on this. We don't have that day no more. So you can't hold on to it. I look in the mirror. When I do my affirmations, it's more of me just having a direct conversation with myself and letting me know this was BS from yesterday. You didn't do this. You said you was going to do this. You didn't follow through. Hold yourself accountable. And if you apologize to yourself, don't make that mistake again. Because that's the only apology is a change behavior.
Right.
Nobody want to hear you're sorry. You keep making the same mistake.
Right.
Stop making that mistake. Just like you would hold yourself accountable to somebody else, but you got to 10x that for yourself.
That's a fact. A lot of people aren't good to themselves, bro.
Horrible to yourself, bro.
You know, so wild. A lot of people are good people, except when it comes to being good to themselves. You know what I'm saying? You know how to be good to everybody's beck and call. You there for everybody. When it's time for you to be there for yourself,
facts,
and do what you say you're gonna do for yourself, now all of a sudden you don't know how to do that.
Absolutely.
You feel me? A lot of people struggle with that, bro. And, you know, I've even struggled with that.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I understand that wholeheartedly. And I had to realize, like, yo, bro, the same commitments that I keep with other people, I make those to myself, but I'm not keeping them.
No, because you can let yourself down quick.
Yeah, you know,
you be like, ah, man, I'll do it later.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I was like, I saw some content on social media that really changed my perspective with this. Somebody was saying, why are you always disrespecting yourself? Or why don't you take yourself seriously? If your manager told you to do something, you're doing it.
Bro, you're doing it.
But when you say you're going to do something for yourself, you're always making an excuse.
Bro, 2 weeks later, you still ain't budge.
You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if somebody did that with you.
Yeah.
You would be tight.
Yo.
But with yourself, you're just like, because you don't make yourself a priority.
You're not.
And a lot of times for us as black men, we're not socialized to make ourselves a priority. So that's why a lot of times when we have things that we want to do, we just be like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, never. Who cares?
Yeah, because it's seen as selfish sometimes.
And it's selfish for me to prioritize myself. Like, that's why I don't even say that. I don't teach people like self-care is selfish. I don't tell people learn how to be selfish, because you're not being selfish by taking care of yourself. You're not being selfish by, you know, with holding yourself to the commitments that you make. You're not being selfish by doing that.
Facts.
You're doing what you're supposed to do.
It's like put on the airplane, right? Who do you put the mask on first?
Yourself or somebody else.
It's always you. They tell you to put the mask on yourself first.
Right.
If you have no oxygen, how are you going to help these people? You can't breathe. It's like, no, you don't put the mask on the person there, even if it's your spouse. You got to put the mask on you because you can't breathe. You can't help them.
Right.
And it's like we forget that every day. So I make sure self-care, I start the day. It's me. It's all about me. Unselfish is even if it sounds selfish, I'm looking out for me first.
Right.
Because if I'm not giving myself, what I'm going to go give to the world?
Right.
What I'm going to give less than myself. It looked like I'm breaking my neck when I'm working regular jobs, it was like, run through the building. I got to take care of the kids. I got to make sure the teacher situation. I got to make sure that the building's right. I got to make sure all of these things are good, right? But then I feel horrible at the end of the day. Bro, I didn't quit some jobs where they like, yo, I can't believe you left. To this day, I can't believe you left. I was like, yo, it wasn't for me.
Right.
I wasn't making myself a priority. I'm running like a crazy person. I go ask the job, I need this vacation. I'm about to travel. They're like, nah, I'm going to look into it. We're giving you that time off. I'm like, yo, what? After the third time, I was like, yeah, we're not doing this no more.
Right.
Then there's no time for me. And how do I give you the best version of me if I haven't created a space for me to be the best version of myself?
Right.
And we got to stop doing that. We do it often. I mean, that's a societal thing too. We don't want to look lazy. I'm talking about solely black men. We're all the negative stereotypes or tropes that we've heard about ourselves are the things that we try to avoid.
Right.
So those of us that work really hard, bro, we'll break our neck. We'll work 15 hours a day. Construction, in the kitchen, as a chef, doing whatever, nursing, education, any space you think of, we be working it, because the stereotype for us is that we're lazy.
Right.
Which is, how? Right? So we would do anything to not appear. It's just like in the streets. You're going to do anything to not appear weak. We don't take care of ourselves in that space. Regular jobs, we'd do anything to appear not lazy.
Right.
So we'd go crazy, but we don't put ourselves first. We just trying not to look lazy. We try not to look weak. We got to look strong. Everything is the appearance. So we walk in, when we leave our house, it's the appearance. But we don't take care of us.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't thinking about you. You really go, you're gonna see this back, and they'll be like, yo, I ain't think about me not once when I did that.
Right.
Our clothing, the way we look, our swag, you gotta get trimmed up. You ain't thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know that vision is like, who's looking at me?
Facts. That's why they run the errands after.
Yeah, bro, who gonna see me today?
Mm-hmm.
You're not worried about how you look for you.
Yeah.
Who gonna see me?
Man, it's the appearance versus the actual. You get what I'm saying? Like, you want to put this appearance on as if everything's good, but the actual is completely different.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know what the actual is because they're so fixated on the appearance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you actually sit down with yourself at home and spend that time in introspection, it's like, okay, where am I actually at right now?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Like, they haven't really spent that time. So, man, I'm so glad you touched on that, bro, because we fall into that trap of trying to appear like everything is good.
Bro.
We're trying to appear that things are a certain way or that we are a certain way.
Yeah.
And we're not getting in tune with who we actually are, where we actually are at, because it takes work to do that, bro. And when you talk about growth, you can't grow if you don't understand where you are right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't how you gonna grow?
More importantly, you can't grow not being true to who you are. You're gonna, because there's no growth from, like, if you lost, you can't say just quickly go north. Like, you outside, right? Just go north 100 more miles. You don't know where you at.
Right.
So you're gonna go 100 more in the wrong direction.
Right.
You like, wait, let me find my bearings first. And in life, a lot of us haven't found our bearings. We don't know what we want to do. We just trying to figure out how to do stuff because society says we need to look busy. We need to look like we not being lazy. We need to look tough. So you going 100 miles the wrong direction looking tough.
Right.
Going 100 miles doing the wrong career, things that you found no passion in, no desire for you to do, but you doing it. And you're like, no, we got to look like we working hard. But you're going the wrong direction.
Bro, man, I have a trainer. And I go to the gym. I try to go to the gym every weekday except for Monday because I don't go to the gym on Monday no more. I can't start my Mondays at the gym. You know, for whoever can, I salute to you.
Yeah.
I'm done. That's not my ministry.
That's not you?
Yeah, it's not my ministry anymore, bro. Right, so I try to go out every weekday outside of Monday. And this week has been a hectic week, bro. I ain't gonna lie. And I've had a lot of work to do at work. I've had a lot of work to do with the business, all that kind of stuff. And I remember Wednesday night came and I'm like, damn, I got to record 2 podcasts. It's an hour commute. I got to do that late in the evening on Thursday. And then I also got stuff to do at work. I got to do my 9 to 5. I got business stuff to do. Does it really make sense for me to go to the gym tomorrow morning? Because I wake up at 4:30 to go to the gym.
We twins in there.
You feel me? Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, like I wake up at 4:30. I hit the gym at 5 now. So I'm like, does it really make sense for me to do that or should I sleep in? I started thinking about what would my trainer think, and I was like, "Why the fuck am I thinking about what my trainer thinks right now,
bro?
I'm exhausted." Like, yo, I said, "Nah." I hit him right after that. I said, "Yo, bro, I can't make it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it tomorrow. I may not do it Friday, but I'm gonna hit you and let you know." You feel me? And I took that rest and actually slept in, and I didn't feel bad for sleeping in because a lot of times what will end up happening is like, damn, I could have used that extra time that I was gonna go to the gym to do more work.
Absolutely.
Like, nah, bro, the point of you not going to the gym was for you to chill.
Yeah, to relax
a little bit, bro. Like, calm down.
Find your bearings.
Yes, so I didn't feel bad. And that's a win for me.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's not feeling bad for sleeping in. And sleeping in for me is 8:39.
Yeah.
A lot of people sleep into like 2. I'm like,
how'd you do that?
2 p.m.?
Yeah, bro.
Yo, if I wake up at 2 p.m., bro, I be
over.
feeling like the day is over.
Done. Yo, because you wake up, for me, I wake up at 4 o'clock every day. And even if I'm working on something in the middle, I wake up at 4, bro. I'm up at 4 trying to maneuver just so I can like feel like, because I'm done more than everybody. By 10 a.m., I'm everybody else still asleep.
Right.
They just getting ready to leave the house. I just feel accomplished. And then I can truly find passion or find out the passions that I want to do, the things that I want to do. Because now I got all this time to invest in what I want to do.
Right.
Nobody told me to go do da-da-da. And I was like, nah, we not chasing somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
That's true. Like for me, it's like finding, what are my dreams? I don't care how old we get. I always say we're always a child, right? We used to, the narrative, like, grow up. You need to grow up. You need to grow up. What does that even mean? You know what we do as we get older? Less. Kids, you jumping all over the place, you moving your body, you're exploring, you have all these crazy visions. As an adult, find this one thing to do. And then you got like a 5 to 10 mile radius of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. But is that life? Are you truly living life? If you just following this pattern, you end up on your own hamster wheel. Just following that, bro. I learned that a few years ago. One of my old bosses, he said, "Yo, look at your circle. You just following this pattern." He said, "You got to get outside that bubble in order to see what life is truly about. And you don't follow that loop. Unless you really like that loop." He said, "You don't do much. You got 5 things you do in a month. And that's all you've been doing over and over and over and over again." Bro. He said, "That's not life."
A lot of people living on subconscious, bro.
Yeah.
And this has been
autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot. Yep. A lot of people living on autopilot, and they letting their subconscious just do the work, and they're not aware, bro. Man, this has been a dope episode, bro.
Yeah.
First of all, tell the people where they can find you, how they can get tapped into what you do, Golden Brand,
Okay. Oh yeah. So I'll start with Instagram. It's Mr. Spread Love 1, the number 1. And on TikTok, exactly the same, Mr. Spread Love 1. You can buy the merch on what's the Cash Drop site, but the link is in the bio on my IG and on my Facebook. And on Facebook, the largest platform is just is Houston Javar on there. Just look for this ugly face that you see smiling all the time, putting out positive content every single day. And that's pretty much it. All 3 of those platforms is Mr. Spread Love 1 again. And it's always something positive every day. Gotta put positivity into the world. I don't know who it's gonna affect, but I know one thing's for sure. I need to make sure it affects me first.
I love that, bro. And just to make sure people are aware, we're doing that therapy webinar. So if you watch this episode, listen to this episode, and you're interested, you don't gotta be a black man, you could be a black woman, whoever, right? If you're interested in getting connected with a black therapist, let us help you with that process. I know how difficult it was for me to find my therapist. I know how difficult it is for people in the community to find their therapist. So we're teaching a free webinar. All you got to do is show up. The link is in our bio, expressyourselfblackman.com/links if you're now on Instagram or TikTok. And yeah, just sign up. And we'll also give you the opportunity to get connected with a black mental health professional inside of Safe Haven. So please take advantage of this. This is what I needed when I first started my journey, right? So I'm trying to give back and make sure that people are aware of the tools and resources that we have available to us. So sign up, send it to somebody, share it with somebody. JT, I appreciate you, bro. We definitely
appreciate you. Absolutely.
This has been a dope episode, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We really hope you gained some valuable insight on things you could do differently with your healing journey and with the black man in your life. If you found value in this episode, please leave us a review on whatever platform you listen or watch the podcast on. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected black community, starting with black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand our platform even further. And speaking of expansion, we're in the middle of that process right now with the Black Man Safe Haven. We're expanding the Safe Haven platform to add more benefits so we can continue to support the demand we've received from this audience. During this time, we've paused enrollment to Safe Haven, but we invite you to sign up for the waitlist. Safe Haven is our holistic healing platform where we take the stress out of the healing journey for black men. In Safe Haven, we provide you or the black man you know with access to a black mental health professional so you can finally heal from the things you find it difficult to talk about, and you will receive support from over 200 black men that are all on their healing journey so you don't have to heal alone anymore. You'll also get access to weekly meditations led by wellness experts, support group sessions led by black therapists, a library of over 200 articles geared towards black men's healing, masterclasses, and more. You can join the Safe Haven waitlist right now by going to www.expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven-waitlist or by clicking the link in the description of this podcast episode.
Don't wait. Do not wait. We've had hundreds of signups for Safe Haven already, and we'll be opening enrollment soon. Due to capacity, we may not be able to service everyone. So don't hesitate to sign up now to secure your spot or the spot of a black man you know as soon as enrollment opens. Thank you again for listening to the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We'll be back soon with more dope episodes. And until then, take care of yourself first, then the people around you. Love y'all.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.